I too have an industry related story to share. As you know, my very first job was at a movie theater. So also I worked in the industry.
Out for the...
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Mostly Harmless. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sarah, and today we are talking modern dating and working at The Bachelor. Both of us modern dated.
Yes.
One of us.
We dated in modern times.
Only one of us has worked at The Bachelor.
Where true love is manufactured.
So Matt is going to spill some tea. I don't know. It's been a while since you worked there.
So we had gotten a form submission through the website from Tracy H. She says, "Hi, Sarah and Matt. Love Reality Squad and all the Sister Wives coverage, especially your Sister Lives with James. I enjoy the Mostly Harmless about Sister Wives 2, the episode that we did about Sister Wives. Since I'm a big reality junkie, I would love a Mostly Harmless episode about your, being mine, experience working for The Bachelor. You could give us some info about what it's like behind the scenes of these shows and some of your personal experiences. Thanks." Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And again, for anyone who's interested in throwing some topics at us, it saves us a lot of work coming up with what we're going to talk about in the episode. So it's very much appreciated. My time at The Bachelor.
Well, so I kind of wanted to couch this discussion in terms of how people date now, because are we really getting real life meet cutes? Like, I've spent so much time watching the Hallmark Christmas romance movies, and does that really happen in real life these days? Like, you and I, we met on Tinder.
We met on Tinder. Yeah, it's not a lot of the, oh, so-and-so's back in town for the holidays. Yeah. Big city girl in the small town meets her ex-boyfriend who runs the local coffee shop, and romance ensues.
Are people meeting at work? Are you meeting at church? Like, these are all the ways people used to meet.
Yeah.
But it's not really happening like that anymore. Now the apps are apping, and now we have reality TV show dating. The Bachelor has been around for 20 years or so at this point.
It's been a long time. Yep.
And I recently, both of us are super into Love is Blind.
It's a good show.
And The Ultimatum, which is a bit messier.
Still a good show. Well, the messier, the better, which is what we find makes good TV.
Right.
Nobody wants to watch a TV show where two attractive people meet, get copacetic, sync up, are perfectly fine, have no drama, and then carry on about the rest of their lives. That's just not entertainment. And working in the film industry for a number of years and working specifically for The Bachelor for many years, you need to manufacture lots of things to make a show interesting for the masses to watch, not just middle America, everywhere.
The first thing I want to ask you about is that scripted show that they made about The Bachelor called Unreal. How real is Unreal?
Well, so I never really watched that. And I'll be honest with you, I never watched The Bachelor, and I worked for the show for I won't say it's embarrassing, because the stuff I did with the show didn't really require me to know a whole lot about it.
My friends, when they found out what you did for a living, a bunch of my friends that I went to college with Bachelor does like fantasy drafts, like fantasy football. People are real into it. Oh yeah. People would try, Matt, find out from Matt who wins, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Matt has a multi-million-dollar NDA. Like, he's not going to
Not that I'm going to be going into anything crazy, but the NDA is long gone at this point.
Yeah, but
no, realistically, so first and foremost, I started off as a PA at The Bachelor, with production assistant. It's like the lowest rung on the totem pole. It's just kind of working your way in the industry. And it's a big, you got to eat a lot of shit kind of job. And if there's one company I've seen that makes you eat a ton of shit as a PA, it's The Bachelor. And I will start off by saying Mike Fleiss, the creator of The Bachelor, I became really close with him, and we became like, I ended up working directly for him for the last few years of the show, and in a smaller capacity over the years prior. And he's a great guy. What he did and created so many jobs for people. And I'm not just blowing smoke up his ass. I say he's taking care of our family. He's been, I invited him to our wedding. He wasn't able to make it. Like, he sent cards from both of my kids were born. Like, I still talk to him once every couple months. I'll shoot him a text and we'll chit chat for a while. He's a great guy. And what
it's worth noting though, and I think we should acknowledge that he is a controversial figure in entertainment. I think something just tangentially knowing someone in the industry and kind of just being on the other side of maybe a controversy, it's difficult sometimes to accept the people that we see or that we like in the entertainment industry, the fact that they are human beings. I was actually just watching something, I think it was like an Instagram reel or something, where, someone was talking about how I forget what famous person it was, but they were talking about a time they were approached for an autograph and they said no. And then a story got published that they were like the rudest celebrity this person had ever met. And it's like, are celebrities allowed to have bad days?
Well, and that's one of those things that, working in Hollywood and around it for as long as I did when I was in LA, it's, if you really want to be anywhere in the industry, you need to tuck your fanboy away. Like, if you're going around, you see anyone who's got a shred of fame, and there's so many fame whores out there that are just like, all of a sudden, if they find out, like, I had people who knew that I worked for The Bachelor, and then they tried to be close to me because, oh, you're in the industry, I'm gonna be best friends with you. And it's like, there's so many fame whores out there that it's like, it's real. I would imagine how annoying it would be if you were someone like Robert Downey Jr., and you were having a bad day and someone asked you for an autograph.
You just want to take your kid to Disneyland, or you just want to go grocery shopping, or go out to eat, or something like that. I was
walking through Hollywood one day, and I'm a huge fan of Scrubs, the TV show, and I was walking up, basically going back to my train to get home, and I just see this dude dressed in a really nice suit, and it's John C. McGinley, who plays Dr. Cox, and in that show, among other things. He's a really good actor. And I'm like, hey, man, I really love your work. That's it. Boom, off. I have seen people, in fact, one of the things is for The Bachelor, for one reason or another, I ended up at Shangri-La Studios, which is a very famous recording studio in Malibu.
Okay.
And I was there all day, and it was my birthday. I don't know why. They had basically told me that Mike wanted me to be here for the day, and I had nothing else. I had nothing, no direction, and I just kind of hung around all day, and it was really cool. Well, turns out that Carlos Santana was recording something there.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Great. I'm there for 10 hours, and I don't even see the guy. And it happened to be around March Madness time. And after all was said and done, I heard the music and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like any of them, like, it wasn't a song I'd already heard, so it must have been something new. And he went out with his manager and with a bunch of people, myself included, to sit out at this TV at the place to watch March Madness. He really wanted to watch some basketball. So we're all just kind of sitting there shooting the shit for a little bit. Like, I'm not sitting next to him. I'm not like, oh my God, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, it's just kind of cool to be around people and be cool around people, just to relax. And we're leaving, and this was the scummiest thing. Like, Carlos gets up, and he's with, like, his manager's walking out, and a bunch of people are like, hey, really great job, you did awesome. And I just wanted to be like, hey, big fan, it's awesome. Some douchebag that was with my company, which if at the time, if I were anywhere to be able to get rid of something, this would be A1 to get rid of. Goes up, basically pushes his way in front. He was one of the guys with the cameras who was doing a behind the scenes thing, but he was with my company. And he goes up and he's like, hey, can you record an outgoing voicemail message on my cell phone? And he's like, what you want me to record a message for you?
Yeah.
Like, you want me to like call someone for you?
Yeah.
Which he almost seemed receptive to. And he's like, no, I want you to, like, I'm going to dial it, and you're just going to be like, hey, this is Carlos Santana. You reached douchebag McGee, blah, 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 blah. And immediately his manager shuts it down and rushes him out. And I'm like, way to go, dirtbag. Like, you just ruined everything.
And
everyone was just chilling.
And then the story that'll get perpetuated in the media is Carlos Santana was rude to a fan,
right?
Or something like that.
And it's the stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where it's like, you know, I always felt the gravity of being around famous people when I was around famous people. And you know that if you're going to, at least I know, if I'm going to fanboy out, I'm likely not going to be asked to be around someone, you know? And that's your whole gig is you need to be, especially as a PA or really anything in the industry, if you're being placed somewhere, you have to be being placed somewhere where you're representing the entire company you're with. And it's so embarrassing that I was around, like, because then, of course, that's someone from my company. Now I look like I'm with, you know, Captain needs a outgoing voicemail from a celebrity. And it's just so cringy. And I'm like, ugh. I remember just telling people about it when I got back to the thing. And they're just like, oh, I probably would have done the same thing. I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty shitty too. Like, I'm sorry. You know, that's a professional setting. 100%. Yeah. This was not him at a meet and greet with fans and someone asked him to do something. It was at a legitimate, like, recording. And then they wanted 10 minutes to hang out afterwards where he wasn't rushed in and out. And this guy just ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I too have an industry related story to share. As you know, my very first job was at a movie theater. So also I worked in the industry as one does.
The movies.
As one does.
Sarah worked in the movies.
I was providing entertainment for the masses. And the chain of movie theaters that I worked for was a Man Theater, MANN, and Man, that chain, I don't even know if they exist anymore.
Is that Grauman's?
Yeah, so it used to be Man's Chinese Theater.
Yeah.
That's where and then it was Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of theaters and they would do the big Hollywood premieres.
And for context, if you've ever seen the place where they do the handprints, that's Grauman's. That's the spot where they have all the people doing their handprints and celebrities and stuff like that.
Right. So I was able to work a premiere as literally a popcorn server.
Hey, man.
Yeah. And it was, I forget what movie it was, but it was an animated movie. And this was like 2003, 2004. And Moulin Rouge was like the movie in my life that I was obsessed with. And Ewan McGregor was a voice actor in this movie with like Halle Berry. I forget what movie it was.
Oh, I'm trying to remember.
I'll look it up after and I'll put it here what movie it was. But anyways, I fully told my managers, if I see Ewan McGregor, because I was also 15 at the time, I was like, I will fully get fired for like meeting Ewan McGregor. Plus, to be fair, this wasn't like he's out to dinner. This was a movie premiere.
Well, and that's
so if I'm just one other screaming fan, what does it matter, right? Right.
To lump this is more just kind of a broad strokes of industry talk. But we are going to get to our meat and potatoes of like dating, modern dating, and so on and so forth. But yeah, in general, like, you know, I had to be around a lot of people who were professional and in The Bachelor, a lot. I'm not so. There are plenty of shitty people at every job you'll ever work. There's always going to be shitty people. There are amazingly personable and nice executive producers that I worked with, and there are pieces of garbage executive producers that I work with, and there are the same level of any of the line producers and blah, blah, blah. There are nice people and there are crappy people. People who once they get that, you know, just last year, they were a PA and then they got promoted because their best friend's sister shares the, you know, nepotism, someone over there. And that was a big thing at The Bachelor. There was like 10 million producers for this show because everyone who knew somebody ended up getting a producer title. I feel some people earned it. Some people were just given the title producer. I'll die on that cross.
Yeah.
Like, what are you producing if there's 3,000 of you and there's just one episode going on? But whatever.
Right.
But like the thing is all of a sudden you'd have that chance of like, okay, well, I was where you were at, and I'm going to have some empathy because, you know, you don't need to get screamed at because the restaurant fucked your lunch up. You know what I mean? And then there's a person who's like, oh, how dare you? I'm a producer now. You know, I'm not naming any names, but there were some real
because
assholes.
you did your fair share of lunch runs, coffee runs.
Yeah, when I was on the bottom of the totem pole, it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun like that. But it was and it would be, say, half the time you'd get shit on for something that's not your fault. Why is it taking so long? Well, you ordered 40 people's lunches. Everyone had a different fucking order. And I had to sit there and hold up the line. And then you have other people like, oh, last time I got my salmon, it had a topping on it that I didn't like. If it's on there again, I'm sending you back. And it's like, you can just go to hell. That would be fine, in my opinion. And then there's the guys who are just like, it's cool, just grab me a burger. I'm in the middle of doing something. Like, it's super... And in general, anyone who's ever worked in the film industry know you're going to work with tyrants and you're going to work with nice people. And there's being nice and being really good at your job, being able to do what you do well and still be able to carry on like a human being, which I guess some people were able to do at that company. And then there's people with that little ounce of power, they take a mile of it. And it's like this. I know people who work in the industry. It's like this in every production studio. Some people believe that if you're not shitting on people below you, then people above you are going to shit on you. And it's like, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to make a show. We're trying to really, you know, and it's a reality show. And I have a scripted department that's twice the size of the casting department. So, you know, there's that. But like, if you look at these shows, and I'll say this, when I've talked about Love is Blind, when I've talked about other shows, any of these, it doesn't even have to be a romance show, and you wonder, oh, that's so weird how did this situation come to be? And it's like, well, someone made that come to be. Very rare. Again, regular dating. How often in your dating would you, and you say this, would you go axe throwing on your first date? Which sounds like fun, but it's not every time you go on a date. They go to axe throwing, they go bungee jumping and skydiving. And it's like, when was the last first date you had that went on to a marginally fatal activity, depending on how well you did?
We were discussing the other day, I am, if you guys didn't know, you could probably guess, I'm not very coordinated, and like I will throw something to you and it'll go like that way.
Yes.
I don't know.
You need to cut in that thing of Charlie throwing the keys to Frank overhand. When they got that, it just goes right in the ocean.
Yeah, it's terrible. I'm terribly uncoordinated. So we were talking about darts and how like that would, if it was the real darts, like, because you know how you can have those plastic darts with the boards that
I know of
like
those.
suck in the
yeah, but nobody, like, I've never seen anyone who uses
but
those.
Like the real metal pokey darts, that, and I'm 2.5 years sober, I would not want to go dart throwing with me. That would be dangerous. And then I was talking about how when I used to be really into 90 Day Fiance, it used to be standard. A drinking date event. So an event with alcohol was axe throwing.
Yep. Which, I mean, I don't think there's any places that are
I'm pretty sure
exclusive to sobriety and axe throwing.
Like, whatever happened to bowling and drinking?
That's fine. I mean, you're still throwing a 10, 20-pound ball down but at least you're aiming in the direction. In the worst case, you hit the wrong lane, I guess.
Yes. It's a lot safer than things that are sharp edges.
But it's with these things is all these departments come up with these stories, and they come up with a story to tell you that if you left people to their own devices, people are not very entertaining. That's just the way it is. You know, how many people want to watch you sit at home and watch TV for a couple hours? How many people want to watch you enjoy dinner and not talking every second during dinner? Like, it's just not entertainment. So you have to find a way in these shows to marry entertainment and reality. And the two of those things, unfortunately, we invented entertainment because reality just wasn't entertaining enough. So it's almost like an oxymoron.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
So when you're seeing there's not a single reality show even documentaries are manufactured drama, like not all the time, but a lot of the times when you're getting like, oh, I got 6 different documentaries on this. Well, if they're all telling the true story of what's happening, you don't need 6. And it probably, again, was less likely to be as entertaining as you'd want it to be without a few cliffhangers or things shoehorned in there. And, it is what it is. And I enjoyed working for The Bachelor. I very much so, especially once I started getting a lot more autonomy. And I worked there. I think I had to work there for almost, 8 or 9 years. It was a long time.
You worked there when we first started dating. And
I had been working there for
I will
quite a
say,
while.
Through us getting married and having Penny, they were incredible to us.
Oh, yeah. Like the executive in charge was awesome. He was a dude from Boston. I'm not going to say anybody's names.
Yeah, that's fine.
But he was super cool. And I could just chill with him in his office, sit and we'd chit chat. And he was just a generally nice guy. Like he would... you didn't really have to, at a certain point, put in for time off because the shows were on for X amount of time. And then when they were off, I was still working in the office, but that was less important than when the shows were on. So when I had, when I had Penny, I don't know what you were up to. It was COVID, just about. It was almost COVID. COVID hadn't hit at that point yet, but it was. We were almost leading right into it. But I was able to take off a really good amount of time. The paternity leave was less than paid. We'll say there was small.
Well, you didn't owe them money,
right? But it was one of those things where it's like, well, I can't take. They're like, well, you can take off. They go, well, you get 6 weeks of paid paternity, which, by the way, this is ridiculous and it's a whole different animal. You get 6 weeks of paid paternity and it's about half your regular paycheck. Great. That's really helpful. Then you can take up to 12 more weeks unpaid paternity. And I'm like,
that's a United States, state of California. Because honestly, the production company is just following the law.
No, but it's the way
the law.
It's the way that they sell it to you on. Hold on. It's the way that they sell it to you where they go, oh, but you get 12 more weeks.
Yeah, you won't be fired
of unpaid.
Yeah.
Oh, I can take off unpaid time from work. My goodness, whatever will I do with all this time?
But what I meant in that they were good to us is I was able to come by the office with Penny. I was able to meet you at certain places.
Right. Yeah. And that's where it is. It's the company,
They were very flexible and accommodating to a hysterical woman with a newborn.
She's just a little baby.
Yeah. And I'm just like, help me.
Yeah. And that was right around the time I started working for Mike more. So I had a lot more if I needed some time to do something, I could take it. I didn't have to worry about someone breathing down my neck about going to get them their 15th coffee of the day or something like that.
I'll just speak for anyone that I met that you worked with, I thought was lovely.
Oh, yeah.
I thought was lovely. Now, I never met any cast members of The Bachelor, but I know that you have talked about them being some of the more difficult people to work with.
Yeah, well, you're on a reality show about, falling in love and finding love and stuff like that. And it's like how you get an arrogance about you, like some of these. Now, some of I picked up and I worked directly with a few of the ladies and some of the guys as well. And I had some very good, very positive experiences. And then I had people who were like, they would throw their baggage at you, walked them up to Level, which is furnished apartments for rich people, mostly for cast members. They fly in, and we get to the door and the guy, there's no one else there. Put my stuff over there in the kitchen. And he just walks away.
And this was someone who was the Bachelor.
The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just all right, cool. And and having had to work with that person multiple times, which can narrow it down for you, it was no better any of the other times. And it's just you're on a show meaning you're on a show to find love, meaning that you failed in your personal life to find love multiple times, and this is what you're deciding to do. Instead, I'm going to go on a TV show. So you should have like a modicum of like, oh wow, I'm really excited about this experience, not like, I'm going to get famous from this, and I'm just going to be a big famous person.
Well, that's really interesting. So when we started dating, I didn't really watch The Bachelor very much anymore, but you very much worked for the show in the era of influencers. Like people go on the show and either they go on the show to become an influencer or that's a byproduct of being on the show. Half the people that are on Paradise these days are accused. That's like an accusation that's thrown around.
Well, at least in Paradise and, before it, Bachelor Pad and all the other amalgamations of the ensemble shows, at least that's literally, let's ply these like people with alcohol and make them make stupid, awful decisions and record it. And if you want to promote something and be an influencer after that, at least it's not like your whole point was to be finding your love of your life. In Bachelor in Paradise, that's basically just a show about hooking up. It's, okay, great. Do people pair up at the end or whatever? That's fine. They're literally just down there to bang and make bad decisions. And that's the whole premise. And it's like, hey, get a bunch of drunk, attractive people together and record it. There we go. That's Instagram mostly. But like, yeah, at least in those you have a leg to stand on because you're like, okay, well, I've already been on the show. I failed, obviously. It didn't work out. Now I'm coming back just to kind of get my name out there again. That's kind of what those are all about, whatever. When you're the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, like, you're there to get married. And if you're not there to get married, which is literally the point, it was the point of the show. There was first guy was like a divorced dad or something like that. And he like went on to, it was him and 25 women and he found love or whatever. That was the thing. I don't think
he was a divorced dad. Honestly, I don't remember. I walked by
the poster for the first season like every day, and that was the impression that I got.
At one point, there was I think there's been multiple like single parents. Emily Maynard was a single mom. She actually has a really tragic backstory, but anyways, her like fiance, she had a young kid at the time. Her fiance died in like a plane crash or something. It was super gnarly. You did tell me once someone who was actually super cool.
Oh,
a bachelorette that was super cool.
It was her Katie, I think was her name.
Caitlin Bristow.
Caitlin, yeah, she was a sweetheart. I picked her up from the airport. I'm just bad with names. I think I've made that abundantly clear. But I picked her up from the airport. I took her out for coffee and hung around until we had to get her to the office. And she was just a genuinely nice person. And for some reason, audiences weren't enamored, I think. I remember it wasn't like everyone's favorite season, but I thought she was a sweetheart. And that the extent of me knowing her was up until, because I did not watch that season or any of the seasons.
She's actually in the news quite a bit because she has a very popular podcast.
Good for her.
She's tangentially still attached to the franchise. She's at all the like Golden Bachelor and stuff events.
God,
and
that show.
Yeah, but I find her to be incredibly relatable. She does get a fair amount of shit online.
Yeah, and I don't really troll the internet for any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, she was a genuinely nice person. I don't have anything bad to say about her. And it was really nice working with her. Yeah. And I can't say that about a lot of the people, whether they be cast members or employees. But I can say that about a good amount of people. Yeah. And that's all there is on that.
Now, you did transport rings from time to time.
Oh, I had to go to, is it Neil Lane?
Yeah.
I had to go to Neil Lane.
Did you ever meet Neil Lane?
Probably. I don't know.
Oh.
Probably. I mean, it's a small...
Was he or was he not as cool as Carlos Santana?
Fantastic. Great guy. Great guy. Loved him. Loved his show. I don't know.
Neil Lane, Carlos Santana. Who are you picking?
Right on top. Who
are you picking to go out to lunch with?
Well, it's not like a Walmart. All right. Neil Lane is like twice the size of this studio that we're in. So it's really not. I mean, so if he was there, I'm sure I met him. I didn't ever ask anybody their names. I'm just there picking up sometimes really, really... I did not find them. They were tacky, some of them, but a lot of the stuff there was nice. But yeah, sometimes you'd pick up a ring, and I did it for years. You'd pick up multiple rings. the show provides the stuff like that. And so some of them were, like I wouldn't, and not that I'm a big jewelry person myself, but I'm like, this probably wouldn't be what I would pick, but hey, to each their own.
Yeah.
I don't think the cast members had much of a say. I think they might have been given a selection, but it's not like they went down there because I was the one who went down there. So
spoiler alert.
Yeah.
You see them pick out rings on the show, but this guy brought it to the set.
Yeah. No, and it's so bad because it's like, I guess it's a tad embarrassing for how long I worked for that show, and I couldn't tell you the structure of a season or an episode because I didn't work for the production level of the show.
Yeah.
Like, here's this segment, here's this sequence. I was just all around.
I think that's why you got along with the higher ups so well, though, is because you weren't like obsessed with the franchise.
I wasn't kissing ass.
Right.
Either.
You weren't looking to even necessarily like work your way up in the industry because you had the opportunity to go to Paradise.
Yeah,
but
multiple times.
Yeah.
Fleiss told me I could write my own ticket because I had helped him out.
But it would mean going to Paradise.
Right. So basically it was, and this is about how exact as he said it. He's like, I'm happy, I'd worked for him for a while, and he's like, I want you to if you want to do something with the show, I will put you there, but that is for one season, and if you do not earn your place there, and listen, you need a hand in that industry. Yeah. I'm not shading anyone who needs a hand.
Your name is not Matt Fleiss. Right. You're not getting producer credit without earning it, Matt.
And that's a perfectly reasonable thing to say. Is like, I'm happy to give you a leg up into a spot that you're interested in, and if you don't pan out, you don't pan out. You can't come back to me for a second chance on that, And I actually had told him, I'm like, frankly, I'm not really interested in the film industry. I never really was. I'm like, I was a general manager at a Jersey Mike's, and that sucked, but it was the highest paying job I had at the time in LA. And then I had gotten a chance to work for The Bachelor. And the only reason I jumped ship, not because I'm such a film industry guy, I can't wait to work. And it was fun, and I got some really cool experiences, but it was the highest paying job at the time. And if someone had offered me a higher paying job, I probably would have jumped ship. I was looking for new employment, even at other production companies, just to see what else was out there. Like, I wasn't married to that production company, but they were very nice. All the people that I directly worked with, for the most part, were really, really cool.
They were good to you, and they were good to our family.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just, but like, yeah, I'm not like a lifetime film industry kind of guy. That's not me. So when I moved to LA, I was like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to do this. I wrote some stuff. It's all,
which you can read on our
my website. You can see
website.
my Fat Ghost script or my karaoke DJ scripted TV show that I wrote.
Anytime Matt and I, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
We love like B-D list.
It's like F-list horror
movies. And anytime and that's kind of our jam. We, even not during Halloween time, we still enjoy watching those.
Scary movies are great.
Yeah. It almost always, when we watch one that's like particularly bad, you're like, I do not know how this got picked up, but nobody's picked up Fat Ghost.
I wrote a movie about a fat ghost. All right. I was sitting at lunch with a friend of mine, and I remember we were just talking about movies, and I was like, you know what? No one's ever done a movie about it, like a fat ghost. And I'm like, no, but it's like an overweight ghost with all the ghostly problems of overweight person would have, apnea, and like they're lazy and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm going to write this. And I started off in my head as a comedy, and it pretty much lived there. And I wrote this script, and I sent it around. I didn't send it. I didn't give it to Mike. I didn't like hand it off to people at the back. I'm not trying that. I'm like, but I sent it out to, have people look at it. Like, and then I'll see a movie, and you go through it, and you're like, there's a movie called like Big Ass Spider.
Yeah.
And it irritates me.
No shade to Big Ass Spider.
I'm sure the movie, good for those people, great job. But I'm like, you're telling me a movie like Big Ass Spider exists, but Fat Ghost, later titled Humonghost, cannot exist. Okay,
because
fine.
Body positivity.
Okay.
Humonghost.
Well, fair enough. Okay. No, but see, that would be fine. At least give me a reason. Don't just take my dreams away from me. But yeah, so I never was a big film. I did enjoy my time in LA, and I did a lot of things in the film industry with friends and doing projects and here and stuff like that. But every time it got to the the nitty gritty of like, oh, let's work on this or whatever. It just I didn't enjoy it, and I don't know, maybe it was because it wasn't maybe my project or something like that. But even when I would think about doing my stuff, I'm like, oh, this just doesn't, it's not that it's a lot of work, but it's just not singing my song, you know? And so, believe it or not, the world of hydraulics that I work in right now sings my song really, really nice. And it is what it is. You find your niches. There's an ass for every seat, and that's just the way it is.
Well, I think what working at The Bachelor turned into for you specifically was more of like a personal assistant type role to Mike.
Yeah, so I'd actually said when he asked me what I wanted to do, I had turned and I said, I'm like, Mike, honest to God, I'm like, I want to work for you. I don't care about this company. It was his company and I wasn't shitting on his company. I'm like, but I don't care about this company. I don't want to work. I don't want to be this.
You didn't really have loyalty to the network. You had loyalty to Mike.
Yeah. And I'm like, let me be your guy. I'll do all the stuff I'm doing for you right now. Just cut me a check from you instead of having to work through here and having to go to my office and say hi every once in a while so that people know I'm still working there.
And then COVID happened.
And then literally. And so that was like in the works. Like, because I basically offered, it was like, I'm offering to just be your gopher and your gimme and your go-to. Like, I'm going to be your fixer. It'll be fun.
Where was that placed? Because we would like tangentially benefit from like when places would mess up Mike's order, because Mike's not a send the food back kind of guy. He's just like they fucked up my order, I guess. That's how it was for today. What was that time you brought back that pizza? Where was that from? Because it wasn't gluten-free.
Yeah, it was like this.
So he just gave Matt the pizza.
Erewhon. Erewhon. And it was like... Though it is not a place I would shop. It is absolutely a place that everyone in the
super expensive and,
super hipster.
And Mike's just like, oh, I can't eat this. It has gluten. Do you want this, Matt? And Matt will bring home like,
I was like, yeah,
no boo.
Yeah, like it would be like, sure, why not? Why not? Let's just enjoy.
In our Woodland Hills apartment, we're eating like Erewhon and Nobu.
Well, and I take he was always good to me, and he was the kind of person that you want to work for because you know that if you do a good job, he'll take care of you, and that's it. And he never had me do anything like inapropos. It would be also the kind of stuff is in traffic. He would be, let's fucking go run that, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, listen, I guess whatever happens, I know. And this is my exact thought process. I'm like, even if I get arrested, I know that Mike's going to bail me out of this. So I'm like, at the very worst, I have a really cool story and maybe a night or a weekend in jail. Because I ran a red light or whatever. But I felt like there was a good safety net under there, because if he's telling me to do it, I'm like, he has the resources to take care of me if anything were to happen. And I'm not doing anything so illegal besides maybe passing
we're
somebody.
talking traffic violations. We're not talking
misdemeanors,
or anything nefarious.
But yeah, so that was really where I've always been a big fan. When people appreciate you for doing a good job, that's a good feeling. And I always appreciate people who help me out. And it's nice to work for someone who appreciates what you do, you know? And so that was me. I guess I'm customer service through and through,
You really are. You really are. And when you are extremely loyal, that's almost like a triggering word in the Sister Wives community these days, the word loyalty, because like Cody has just weaponized it. But
I demand loyalty from my wife.
But I find you to be an extremely loyal person. One thing I wanted to talk about, because you kind of will watch what I'm watching sometimes, but you don't really like get into a show.
Right.
You got into Love is Blind.
Oh, I like it.
We watched Love is Blind together. And I wanted to kind of touch on some reality TV show, like the dark side of reality TV, because Love is Blind has been hit with accusations. And actually, I had just started dating you when The Bachelor was hit with, maybe not first scandal, but a scandal.
Imagine.
But so you and I started dating in 2017, and Bachelor in Paradise, which you didn't work for Paradise, so this didn't affect you.
Well, I did. I mean, by contract I did, but I didn't go down there.
Right.
I wasn't there.
You didn't travel, so this didn't affect you. But It was the season that Corinne, I forget her last name, and Demario were on, and production shut down because there was an incident. None of this, I don't believe, has ever aired. It's just been discussed.
Yeah.
Production was halted. Every production or PA on the show that was working on Paradise got let go because
there was no show at Paradise. That point. Yeah.
It was like a really big deal. Now,
I remember coming into work. And it was just like, everybody was running around and everybody was out of work. Like,
yeah. And because the way the network ran it, you filled out like paperwork for every season, right?
Yeah, it was a goddamn nightmare.
Yeah, like you worked year round, but every season you had to fill out new
start
paperwork.
Packets. Yeah, start packets every 3 months. I had to fill out a new start, probably 5 a year. I think with the overlap, depending on the show you're working on.
Yeah,
and that was just to move their money buckets around. That really didn't. You could be being paid by Bachelor in Paradise, but you're doing something for Bachelorette or something else.
Well, and my brother did film scoring for a long time, and you get paid by the project. So they have Bachelor season 19 budget, and that's what they're that's what your paycheck's coming out of, and then you move on to season whatever. But that was crazy. Yeah,
I mean, it was there was all kinds of, what was the guy's name? Demario.
So the situation that happened was, because I don't know how closely you followed the scandal, but back in the day on The Bachelor and specifically Bachelor in Paradise, it was definitely ply these people with liquor.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what happens.
The epitome of.
So these two people, Corinne and Demario, they were both, I believe, very intoxicated, and they were in a pool, and it looked like a sex act happened.
Right.
But Corinne was very far gone. And
it's one of those things where you know when someone's blacked out, even if they don't know they're blacked out.
Right. And so this was so unsettling to somebody somebody working, a crew member, that they filed a complaint, and that shut down production. Now, after this came to light or was publicized, Demario was really villainized as a assaulter,
right?
Essentially. Corinne has since come out, and this was years ago because this was 2017. So when I say has since come out, she didn't come out yesterday. It was more contemporary to when the event occurred. She has come out and said, hey, I don't blame Demario for what happened. We both were under the influence, but I was super under the influence. If anything, she said that she felt it probably shouldn't have been filmed, and nobody, if you see someone, let's just say, if you because I watch Love After Lockup, if you see someone drunk getting in a car and they're about to go drive somewhere, are you not do you not have a responsibility to stop that?
It's a social contract.
Yeah, well, not even a social contract, but you're filming a show, but you're filming you're filming something that could be against the law.
Well, and I'll just throw into all this is 100% hearsay as it comes down to a legal standpoint, because I wasn't there. I only heard from friends. I heard from a bird who heard from a bird who heard from a bird. I
don't think that any of the footage has ever made it.
No, it never got out.
But what Corinne has said, I was just reading an article from 2017, was that both of them were under the influence, but she was like blacked out.
Yeah, well, and that's also, you know, on a human note, it's like, how many times have you gone out and gotten wasted with someone and did something you didn't want broadcast on national television, or surrounded by 30 people who are staring at you but not doing anything about it? And one of the things about that situation that was struck a chord with the woman who, or one of the people who had come out about, you know, hey, this is fucked up. Because it was
one of the people that filed a complaint.
Yeah.
The reason why I wanted to touch on the Bachelor scandal is because we're watching Love is Blind right now. And a couple seasons ago, I think it was season 3 of Love is Blind, there were lawsuits being levied because of like work conditions. Like these people
work conditions.
Yeah, these cast members were claiming that they were being plied with alcohol nonstop. And that's to say, at The Bachelor, after this, the Corinne and Demario situation, they instituted like a 2 drink per hour
one of the things
on the show.
Yeah, one of the things with that kind of stuff is, it's a hard territory to live in. It's like you can't just... you know, you can, but you want these people to be drinking so that they're less, they're more uninhibited. And at the same time, that doesn't make for good stuff when you have super testosterone filled dudes and, you know, chicks who are ready to go, you know, especially you're down in Bachelor in Paradise, you know, and that's not shaming either side, but you're putting two forces together that once you put alcohol, it's a good catalyst for either something entertaining or something wildly inappropriate. And it's a very, very thin line between those two things.
So Love is Blind, they've been accused of like not feeding the cast members, plying them with alcohol, really long work days, like 12 plus hours. Well, now, if you've noticed, like this, I think it was season 6 was this last season. That all happened around like season 3, I think, was that the cast that was like, sue. But now it's like there's always like a spread of food whenever there's a gathering. It's like it's almost as if the production company wants to be like, here, we feed them. We give them food.
It also could be, I've been privy to plenty of settled lawsuits where part of the stipulation is food not only must be there, but it must be shown so that you can't just tell people that people were fed. You can see that the food is there. You know, there are plenty. It's like, that's kind of like a fuck you to the people who got it. But at the same time, it's like, once you cut these shows together, and if you ever, one of the terms I learned early on is called franking cutting. If you ever hear an interview where it'll be a guy, oh, and now I'm talking to you about this, and then I'm blah, 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 blah. It's like, but they cut the audio together to make it sound like either they're saying something completely different, which you've heard plenty of people who've been on reality shows say, well, that's not even what I said. They cut out an entire context, and then they tell a story with words that were spoken, and then they get to say, well, you did say that stuff,
right?
But no, I didn't say it in that order. Like they literally can cut, rearrange, and that's also why continuity-wise, you'll see on Love Is Blind that they don't have clear cups.
I was going to say, that's the whole point of the goal of the goblet.
It's why one of the hardest things to film during filming is smoking cigarettes, because if you cut, you can't stop a cigarette from burning. And so you'll see, if you ever go to a show or even a movie that they used actual cigarettes, if you pay attention to the ash on the cigarette, sometimes you'll see the ash is all the way burned out. Sometimes you'll see it's not. And if you don't see anything and it's always at the end, it's probably a fake cigarette.
So I had a friend in high school who, his mom was a like continuity producer for
that is a huge job.
The show My Wife and Kids. So her whole job was to so this scene was her like jacket zipped to here. Was it zipped all the way up? Like to make sure, because that is like, you'll see BuzzFeed articles about it. Like
the Starbucks cup.
Yeah. Remember the Game of Thrones thing where like, how did that make a coffee cup make it into a Game of Thrones scene?
Well, and so what's funny about stuff like that, like a Starbucks cup that made it into a Game of Thrones scene.
I don't know if it was a Starbucks cup.
A VW Beetle in the Lord of the Rings, like in the
I didn't hear about that.
Is not only should that stuff not have been there on set. You're not supposed to, if you have a live set that's not like a box, like a three wall like this, it's an actual live set with a multi-camera. You're not really supposed to bring your cell phones and stuff, leave them on the table next to the goblets, like, because that stuff is, you do so many takes that they're just ripping apart things. Those stuff shouldn't have been there in the first place. But you're telling me that made it past the person who put the cup there, the person shooting, the multiple directors of photography, the multiple extras, the other people, the editors didn't catch it.
They have to have had a continuity producer, and that person probably got fired.
Even if
that's a big miss.
So you'd say even if it made all the way the editing thing, editors are a lot of the editors that I work with are the whole point is attention to detail. And if you're telling me that you did not see something, because if they saw it, they could have airbrushed it. You wouldn't even have noticed it was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like there is many editing tricks that can stop something like that from happening.
Many levels of.
But what I was telling someone in my current industry had just gotten an on-the-job injury doing something he's done a million times. The longer you do something, the more confident you are at doing it, the more likely you are to fuck it up because you no longer have that fear of failing. And that's the once you lose that fear of messing up or that like anxiety of like we have to do it perfectly is when you stop doing things as good as you normally would. And that's probably those people are like, oh, it's the last season of Game of Thrones. We're fine. Who cares? We got it. And it's like
people are shitting on it anyways.
Well, we did we shot an entire episode in the dark for some fucking reason. We had to buy a new TV for that one.
We thought our TV was broken, so we bought a new TV.
Whoa.
So because we have an update for one of our previous stories to get to wrap up reality TV, Matt, what was it? Good time for you?
I mean, ancillarily, not the stuff that I was forced to do, but the stuff that I got to do, I think. And I think that's any job. It's not the stuff you have to do, but the stuff you get to do that you enjoy. But you have to do the stuff that you have to do in order to get to do the stuff that you get to do. And that's just the ebb and flow of any industry. But I wouldn't really trade it in for anything. I would. There's a pretty big handful of people that I'd never want to see again. That's absolutely sure. But that's not everybody. There's a lot of great people working for that company, and I'll tell you to your face that if any of them come out, I'm like, you, I like you, I like you, I like you. You're a shit. I like you, I like you.
Yes.
But no, it was a good time. I mean, all in all, and again, the stuff that I got to experience over my tenure at The Bachelor was amazing. And it's stuff that not everybody in a lifetime even gets to do. Places I got to go, things I got to see, editing, like sets going around, it's just really cool. I'm a big fan of the behind the scenes. I like to see how things work, and so I got to see a lot of that. And that was really cool. Still not my bag. I'm not into even this. Sarah edits the show. I don't do any of this. I'm just the talent, just here, where's my Frappuccino? Give me my Frappuccino.
We have an update, our first update for our little baby podcast. So 2 episodes ago, we talked about a mostly harmless take on faking your own death.
So welcome now to our mostly harmless update.
Yes. And so this was the case of Ryan Borgart. And I do apologize if I apologize.
Kind of a douchebag. I don't really care about him.
Fuck him. I don't know. But still, sorry if I mispronounced your name. As someone who my maiden name was mispronounced frequently. So he is back in the United States. And remember how, truly, the title of our podcast probably is not any more applicable than it is here. It is so applicable to this case because it is mostly harmless. Like, the guy's a shit guy, but
he didn't physically hurt anyone,
right? Like
emotionally,
yeah,
a lot of baggage.
Piece of shit, right? Yeah. But like, what really did he do? So he has been taken into custody. He came back to the United States voluntarily. So it says here, a Wisconsin man who officials say faked his own death and fled to Europe was charged with a misdemeanor count of obstructing an officer, and after he turned himself into authorities. So a misdemeanor?
Well, this is what I
Where
said.
are we talking? Probation, a fine?
Probably a fine, probably nothing. Like, this is exactly it. This is what we said during the episode. Is it worth it? Do I care that this man gets brought to justice? Absolutely fucking not. Do I want you wasting more money to do that? Absolutely fucking
Where was
not.
it? Wisconsin, right?
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
In my
Do
mansion.
the people of Wisconsin want their tax dollars to go to, like, this is what I talk about with, like, when I talk about Karen Reed with people, like, another trial. Like, this is all Massachusetts taxpayer dollars.
But here's the thing.
Going
There was wrong that happened in the Karen Reed. Someone is dead.
Right,
that
yes,
needs to be
yes,
solved.
yes.
This is a douchebag who fucked off on his family, and here we go. Now I'm back. I hope my family still loves me. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. Jeez, like no. So I don't. It's like, as much as I want to know more about this, I don't.
No. Listen to this. A Green Lake County Sheriff Mark Podol, he says he came back on his own. When asked by the media why Borgart decided to return, Podol added, his family, I guess.
Yep. I guess. His family, I guess.
His wife and 3 kids, I guess.
Aren't you told not to speculate on things like that? Like,
Well-
as an official?
Well, it's because he wasn't extradited. He came back on his own.
He came back on his own. Right. No, someone kidnapped him back to America. Like,
So what it is, what happened, and this is all pure speculation on my part, is that, like we were saying, the catfish situation didn't turn out. It did turn out because he was catfished, and he was just like, ugh, like
Olga turned out to be Bruno, and it was
Yeah.
a big misunderstanding.
well, or just Olga just didn't show up at all, and he was by himself. And we saw like a little brief spin in his apartment, and it looked barren. It didn't look like a cozy life he had set up for himself there. So yeah, probably he's like, ugh, fuck, I might as well just go back to the United States.
What kind of a conversation do you have with your family after that? Like,
I know.
is it you walk in and you're just like,
if I'm his kid, I'm like, fuck that guy.
yeah,
And his wife. Like, seriously.
I picture him walking through the door, just being like, ugh, funny, right, guys?
Like, we can talk about everything he deserves to, like, maybe quote unquote suffer at the hands of his family, like, for what he did. But, like, does he deserve to have anything happen to him within the legal system?
Nah.
Like, he's just a piece of shit. There's a ton of piece of shits out there.
There are people that leave their families all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
It's not a crime to leave your family. It's
Yeah.
not. It's pretty shitty of you
It's
to do.
frowned upon.
Let's just say lightly frowned upon. But yeah, so and don't waste money. I'm sorry. It's fiscally irresponsible.
Well, when you
of
charge someone with a misdemeanor, like, and then that's it, right? Like,
and
but
this
you get
guy,
like probation.
he's got
and
no priors, as far as I know.
I don't
I'm
know.
sure they would have said he was like if he was a felon or anything, it would have been a different animal because then he's a repeat offender. Maybe this is a bigger thing. Nope, just some dude who wanted to fuck off to another country. That's nothing illegal about that. Nothing moral about that either.
No.
But it is what it is, and let's be done with it. You know, I'll be like,
I'm so glad though that he came back when he did, because I'm glad that we got like a immediate update.
right, because we had just talked about that.
Yeah.
So, you know, that is what it is. I will be here for it if there's more, but it's frankly, I think it's silly.
I want the wife to come out and give an interview.
Yeah, I just think it's silly if they do anything more with this. Just let him.
Hopefully not,
Let him
but-
go. Let his wife file for divorce and be done with it and have fun. Like,
I would watch an interview with him. Like what happened to you, dude? Like, because you put effort into disappearing.
I hope that was a fun trip.
Yeah, like, I have some thoughts. I would love to hear from him. I would love to hear from his wife. I would love to hear down the road, do they reconcile? Is she hopefully filing for divorce? Like, what is going on?
I cannot think.
He came back for his family. Bro, you killed yourself.
Right.
Like,
you would prefer your family thought you dead.
You hypothetically killed yourself. Yeah.
And again, why do people feel like if you're not happy with your family, just get a fucking divorce and leave? I mean, like, the elaborateness.
That's what I'm saying.
You have a boo thing in another country? Cool. File for divorce. Tell your wife you don't give a shit about her. Tell your kids you don't give a shit about them. Get it done and then leave. Because then guess what? You're done. You know, no prior obligations. Nobody's looking for you. But you know what? It's the thrill of the chase maybe that had this guy going. It's because, look at all this stuff I planned. I'm like, buddy, you rented a bike and rode your bike from Wisconsin to Canada, basically, if I could just remove some of the bus trips and make it more interesting. Like, his trip's not even that interesting. He rode a bike to a bus station, took a bus to a bus to a bus to a plane. Like, great. That's it. He didn't do anything besides pretend to kill himself.
Yeah. Or no, I mean, he didn't pretend to kill himself. He pretended to get in a terrible, tragic accident.
Right. He didn't fake his own suicide. He faked his own death.
Right.
Accidental death.
Accidental death.
But whatever. Fuck that guy. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. We got to go. We got things to do. We got places to be. Got podcasts to edit. Don't forget to follow us on the social medias. On your preferred podcasting platform. If we're not on that platform, we can submit for it. We're on most of them. Find us on www.level42studios.com. You can go ahead and get us on the contact form there if you have anything you want us to talk about. We are Do Mostly No Harm on all of our socials. And that's about it. We got to go. So what do you got?
I'll be live tomorrow with James to talk about episode 14, season 19 of Sister Wives. So
good times.
Be there, be square.
All right. Well, everybody, we had a good time. We certainly hope you did. And as always,
do mostly
no harm.
Bye.